Good morning. Back to 444. Spent a day yesterday in deep introspection, challenging myself. Well, let me do the title and blurb, and then I can start talking again. Truth is the terminal tool of transformation. I long for transformation of my being and the world in which I live. If Operation Gideon is to have any real success, or I didn't say any, I just said have real success in changing the world, it must terminate the untruths that have created the situation of slavery and ignorance in which the human family finds itself at this time. Truth, and only truth, is the tool that must be used to terminate the old system of lies. That system is built on false promises, lies told by priests and politicians to obtain compliance with the will of would-be world rulers, must be totally transformed with all organizational structures repurposed to serve the people first. This is what resonates with me in my heart and soul. As the ambassador has often said, don't believe us because of promises. Believe us because of what we do. I've been paying attention, and it's the little promises that give me confidence that the bigger promises will be kept. As I said at the beginning, I spent the day in deep introspection, contemplation, looking at my life, looking at where I am, what my feelings are coming up, what my disappointments are, what my hopes are. It was the first day since April, I believe, that I have not talked with the ambassador at all. I chose to take a little bit of a break and listen to my own heart. And the reason that I did that is because I had set in my mind a deadline. It's not a deadline that I told anybody else about till yesterday, but it was in my mind. It was something that I told myself, that by the end of August, it was important to me that I be reimbursed for my passport. Yeah, that may seem like a small issue. As the ambassador wrote to me, that won't prove anything, but it will prove everything to me. It will prove that promises are being kept and not just made. And that's where I was, and that was the dilemma that I was facing yesterday, because no reimbursement was made. I want so much to see Operation Gideon or 555 work. I want to see some of the elite actually working for the good of humanity. I don't care who they are. I don't care what the organization is, but it must be based on truth. It must be based on trust, because we have learned, if we have learned anything as a human family throughout the ages of our existence, we have learned that we cannot generally trust priests or politicians. We cannot trust those who want to rule over us. We have learned that. I have learned that. I have learned it the hard way. I learned it in RUSA. I learned it in the OPPT. I learned it in Swiss Indo. And I'm learning it with the Dragon family. It's important that when promises are made, they are kept. Now, sometimes promises are made, as in the case of RUSA, because somebody else promised Tim Turner certain things and then reneged on their promise. It was supposed to be backed by very rich people. It was probably a scam by the elite establishment, working as if they were wanting the same thing that Tim Turner and the people that wanted to reestablish the Republic wanted. We want so bad to see transformation, but the only thing that can really transform anything is the truth. That's the only tool. And And I use the word terminal tool because it's a tool that needs to bring to an end the old structure, the old ways of doing things, which is hypocrisy, which is wearing masks, which is telling lies, which is making promises that the people want to hear but never keeping them, and then blaming the people when they get disappointed and start rejecting the people that are telling the lies or making the promises and not following through. These things are critical for the humanity as I see it. And I was feeling pretty disempowered earlier on in the day, but as the day wore on and got into the evening, I was actually feeling empowered because I was sticking by my guns. I was standing in my integrity. And that felt really, really good. I was looking at the man in the mirror, looking at myself and saying, yes, I'm not going to fall for the same tricks that have enslaved me in the past, the tricks of religious promises. Oh yes, I still believe the promise that we're going to end up with a new age. We're going to end up with a golden age. We're going to end up with a new renaissance. We're going to end up with a new humanity. We're going to end up with a new world. And I want it in my lifetime. I don't want a carrot dangled in front of me throughout my life that I never reached the promised land. I never reached the goal of transformation. Transformation will be completed when the inner and the outer become one. When that which is promised becomes the experiential reality. That's when the old system, the matrix, is terminated. That's when the Illuminati meet their doom. That's when the would-be Mickey Mouse players finally are brought to either their knees in repentance or exiled till they learn their lesson. Because we must not be allowed to continue to violate each other by lies. And lies are the greatest violation of all, because lies betray the trusting little kid that's within each of us, the trusting inner child that just loves, that's just born to love, that's born to be good. And it has the goodness and it has the trust knocked out of it early on and compartmentalizes the self-structure, putting all of the wounds into a little compartment so that they don't inflict us over and over again. Yeah, that's the psychological defense mechanism that we subconsciously create because it's the only way we know how to survive. And survival and thriving are not the same thing. There are so many beautiful souls in this world with beautiful visions. The spirit within us, the spirit of the divine within each of us, is calling us home. And the only thing that can set us free is first telling each of us ourselves the truth. What is hurting? What is hurting? What hurts me and what was hurting me yesterday was feeling betrayed, was feeling that the promise was always next week, and next week never came. It's only a little thing. It's not the end of the world. But for me, it was the measure stick that I was using, and I had told the ambassador that that was the measure stick that I was using. I didn't indicate that I had set a deadline, but in my mind, I thought, well, the promise was made in July, and if it can't be fulfilled by the end of August, something's wrong. And so I was thinking, something's wrong. But I've listened to the ambassador, I've listened to the Red Dragon, and I believe that their heart is in the right place. I really do. But will they follow through with action that helps keep me on board? Now, I don't care, quite honestly. I don't care if I have any titles. The people in Swiss Indo knew that. I could care less about being an emperor or a ruler or have some title of authority or something like that. I was satisfied just to be an advisor. Will you please just listen to what I have to say? I have something that I think is important, something that you need to hear, because what's been written in my heart of the new covenant that God made with man, the covenant that he would write his law on our heart, on the fleshy tables of our heart, and we would need not to go around saying, everyone know the Lord, know the Creator, for we would all know the Creator, from the least to the greatest. We would all know the Creator. That's the new covenant. It wasn't an external thing where it was laws written on tables of stone, or even in some parchment book like the Bible or the Quran or the Bhagavad Gita or the Vedas or any of the other sacred books, the Tao Te Ching, which is probably one of the shortest and wisest of all the sacred texts of wisdom, but it was written in us. We would know in us, because the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God, is within us. It's not out there somewhere. It's not in some book. It's not in some prophecies that have to be fulfilled. It's not in some rules that have to be kept. It's not in a creed that needs to be believed in. It's the way we were created to be at the beginning. We're the inner child, the innocent inner child that is each of our essential being, that is our divine self, that is the prince and the princess that has been kept enslaved, chained to the walls of some dungeon, some mythical dungeon in our subconscious being, not able to break forth into our conscious life so that we can be empowered and blessed beyond measure, so that we can be healed, which means become whole again for the very first time. Were we ever whole in the beginning? I think so. And I think this long journey as prodigal sons and daughters of the living God has taken its toll on our soul, on our being, and fragmented us. And we've left these fragments along the pathway, strewn in lifetime after lifetime. And it's time to come home. It's time for transformation. It's time for the tadpole to stop looking like a fish or a sperm and start looking like a frog. It's time for the caterpillar to give up its caterpillarness and become the butterfly. It's time for the human family to rise like a phoenix from the ashes. The scary bird, or the transformation from the old to the new. It can only happen by terminating the lying systems, by terminating the system that is based on false promises, by terminating everything in the old structure that has enslaved us, that has disempowered us, that has made us impoverished in our spirit and in our soul. The things that have wounded us, they must be terminated. It must be a terminal tool, a tool capable of giving the death blow to the lie. And truth is the only thing that can do that. But the truth is in you, and it's in me. And we need to find that truth. It is the pearl of great price. It is the treasure that is of immense wealth and unmeasurable value. We can't even begin to estimate it. We are all, as the Red Dragon said, there's enough money in the family's coffers to make every human being a trillionaire. I'm pretty sure I heard him correctly. Not B, not M, but trillionaire. Okay? But the truth of the matter is, no matter how much is in the coffers, we have unlimited value. The value always comes from the creativity the labor and the service of the people. That's the value in a given society. That's what makes a society work. It's what makes it sustainable. It's what keeps it moving forward and keeps the evolution always blossoming, always opening up, always transforming the tadpole into the frog, the caterpillar into the butterfly, humanity into a new humanity, Homo sapiens into Homo luminous. This is something that is calling us. And I want to work with people that are willing to work with me toward that vision where all of us are able to come home, where all of us are able to put on the new man in the divine being, in the Christ, in the Buddha, and stop fighting each other over words and books and creeds and belief systems. Stop fighting each other over those things, because those things are majoring in minors. We need to do what the masters have said, to love one another. The message of Jesus to me is the most important message mankind has ever been given. And unfortunately, those that have come in his name saying that he is Christ have what he promised. They have deceived many. They say, know the Lord, but they themselves don't follow the teachings of the Lord. They don't go into the inner closet. They make a show, but they don't follow through. They make promises, but they don't follow through. And when I say they, it's we. We've done this. I commit myself to living in integrity to the best of my ability, to listening to my heart, to paying attention to when my heart feels broken, to when I feel trust has been betrayed. I listen, I pay attention, and I'm going to continue to do that. And I'm going to continue to tell the truth as I know it. I'm not making promises. I'm doing it every day, day after day after day. And I will continue as long as I am able to follow through till I am transformed, till the whole world is transformed. Because that's my role. That's what I've committed myself to do. I don't care about money or titles, but I do care about people keeping their word and working with me toward this goal that is written, I believe, in the tables of everyone's heart, if you look deep enough, because we all want to love and to be loved, even when we think we don't. Anyway, that's something to consider for today's message, and I do again thank you for listening. Namaste.